What is going on, my salty home gymmers? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be continuing our all-in-one Smith machine budget of $1,000, $1,500 tournament, and we are in the finals, the final round, the final comparison video where we will decide the winner. Now, these machines are the Major Fitness B52 and the Megastar Fitness P107. These are the two that have outlasted. Now, full disclosure, this video is not going to be your super in-depth laying everything out there like we have been doing. This video is just to wrap this series up. Quite frankly, it has been a lot of work filming this series, from building to editing to disassembling to making room for new and doing the editing for the comparison videos and everything else. I'm just kind of ready to put this one in the books. So if you're joining us to learn about these machines, great. You'll probably learn even more from our other videos that we've done on these machines, such as the review and the other comparison videos, which you can find in this playlist. But if you're not here for all that and you're just here for the winner, well, you've come to the right place. So we're going to shake down these categories. I'm not going to go through the rules. I'm just going to leave them here for you to pause so you can take a look at them rather than go through them one more time. Without further ado, let's get to comparing. Now I'm going to talk about the size and weight of both. The Major Fitness B52 comes in at a weight of 410 pounds. The weight of the Megastar Fitness P107 comes in at a weight of 407 pounds. Very similar weights here, so nothing really telling there. But the thing that you do need to pay close attention to is the size difference between these two racks. First, I'm going to talk about the height, because the P107 is significantly larger than the B52, which, as we've discussed before, the B52 is probably the most compact rack and the shortest rack in this category with these specifications that we laid out in the rules. You're probably not going to find a more compact Smith machine cable all-in-one than the B52. Now, the B52 comes in a height of 82.8 inches, and the P107 comes at a height of 84.6 inches. Like we've said in other videos, this might not seem a lot, but measure your ceilings, because this might be a big difference for you. The B52 also not only shorter, but a little more narrow, a little more space friendly on the width as well, because it has a total width of 78.7 inches. And that is, yes, including the outside of your Smith bar. The P107, however, has an outside width of 86.6 inches, significantly larger machine than the B52. So it is going to require just a little more space, a few inches here and there. Obviously, there's not going to be a winner of this category. We're just comparing what works for you in this category. But our first category up that is going to have a winner is one of my favorites, the durability category. Now, before I go into depth about all these things, I just want to, full disclosure, we've compared all these machines extremely hard against each other, and we've covered a lot of important ground, and it's led us to these two machines, which are really good machines. With that being said, both of these machines are pretty great. I wish I could pick both of them. Unfortunately, only one has to be the winner. So for that, I have to apologize in advance. Every comparison I make from here on out is going to be just extremely petty things, because both of these racks obviously function on all categories. So I have to look for just little tiny things that make one machine just a little more refined than the other. So I apologize in advance. Now, as far as durability goes, both of these racks are strong racks. We talked about their posts in the other video. We talked about how they have 2x3, 14 gauge steel all the way around, and they feel pretty good as far as stability. Neither one of them are big wobblers, anything like that. The only difference I have between these two racks in this category that I could really find is the difference in coating. Now, both of these machines are painted flat black, and you've all heard my feelings on machines for the home gym that are painted flat black, but I will say the B52 coating tends to hold up a little bit better than the Megastar Fitness coating. The Megastar Fitness coating already came out of the package with a few chips here and there in the coating. I didn't have that with the B52, and the B52 just seems to have the better paint or coating or whatever you want to call it. So the durability category, for that reason, and that reason alone, like I said, a lot of these reasons for winners are going to seem really petty, because both of these racks are just phenomenal pieces of equipment for their price. But for the reason I just listed, I'm going to have to give to the B52. Now, the next one is going to be your front rack. I'm not going to critique either one of these on their coating, because we've already done that in the durability category. Some of these categories just kind of blur together. We've already talked about our 2x3 inch posts. They were the only contenders in this tournament with 2x3 posts. So your front rack is pretty strong in this price range. Both these racks have a lot of holes and a lot of options for adjustments, and they're really strong racks. I do feel like I can beat on them a little bit with these racks, and they're going to hold up over time. So what that leads me to judge these two on is basically the last thing left is the attachments that come with them. So the B52 attachments are just going to be, I don't know, a little, I guess, slightly better than the Megastar Fitness. And honestly, it's just probably going to be about that much. Like it's really, really close here. What really separates them is their options for attachments, which I guess doesn't matter in the long run, because with them being the same size rack, I guess these really are kind of interchangeable. But the major fitness website seems to have a little bit more options for their rack that you can order in a package deal than Megastar Fitness, who, by their own credit, Megastar Fitness is a very newer company to this whole ball game. Major Fitness has been around a few years longer than Megastar Fitness, so they're still holding their own here, which is actually really impressive, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But as far as rack accessories, Megastar Fitness just a little bit behind Major Fitness on accessories. It's just sad knocking Megastar Fitness out of so many categories for such petty reasons, but I'm going to have to do it here again and give this category to the B52, and that's just for reasons I explained. I'm sorry, guys. And if you're not into this criteria, I understand. Like I said, check out our reviews of both where we go over everything. And check out the other comparisons where we're a little more in depth. And by all means, wait till the end of this video, and there might be a few more things that interest you as far as pricing and different things. Now, the next category we're going to talk about is the cable. And to be honest with you, it's just going to be a tie. Both of these cables are so great. I know our P107 has aluminum pulleys, but to be honest with you, using them both, I just don't think it makes it any smoother than the B52, which already has a smooth cable, even without aluminum pulleys. Not to say that the Megastar Fitness doesn't without aluminum pulleys. There is a nylon pulley option, which I keep saying this, but we'll get into that later, because a lot of these things are going to have to do with pricing that we're going to get into at the end of the video. But if I'm going to hold aluminum pulleys against the B52, I guess I also have to say you can actually upgrade the B52's cable in a ton of different ways. You can even buy selectorized weight stacks for the B52, which you cannot do with Megastar. So both of these cables have their advantages. We've gone over their ratios, which is 2-to-1. We've gone over how they feel and everything, and they both feel great. And we've talked a lot about these guys, and we've talked about their trolley system, which there's no issues with either one. And yeah, it's just going to be a tie. I will insert here that we did make Megastar Fitness's package, the aluminum pulley package, just to make it fit in this tournament. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is the Smith machine. And as I'm going to say in every category, because these are our finalists after all, in this price range with all these features, both of these have great Smith machines. They're both strong, they're both stable. I don't have any huge gripes about the bar. I don't think it's one of those that are going to bend over time, and that's saying a lot, because, man, I've had $4,000, $5,000 machines like this that about a year into their use, my bar was bent, and you can't replace it. So I'm going to say a good deal about the bar tensile strength in this price range, because I think both of these have great tensile strength in their bar for this price range. So I don't think you're going to have a lot of big issues out of either one of them. Both of their bearings, which are linear bearings on guide rods, both of their bearings are nicely made. We had other racks in this tournament that weren't, that we talked about. Both of these were very nicely made and very smooth. So what minuscule things are going to make the winner here? Two things. One, the P107 has a black coating on their bar, whereas the B52 has a nice polished barbell finish, which I prefer a little more. The black barbell on the P107 Smith machine wouldn't be terrible if we hadn't talked about those coating issues before, so I don't trust its chipping and durability over time. Tensile strength is there, but I'm just not a huge fan of that coating. I want my Smith machine to feel like a barbell in the gym. Another thing that I liked on the B52 rather than the P107, and this is really nitpicking here, is I like the spotter rack, the hooks on the back that you roll the bar back into, the spotter rack. I like it on the B52 just a little more than I like it on the Megastar Fitness. It just seems to a little easier to rack and unrack the B52 than the P107. The P107 has kind of those deep wells in there, and man, that is just the pettiest thing I could possibly come up with. For those tiny reasons on these both phenomenal Smith machines, I'm going to give the winner of this category to the B52. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is storage, and this one might surprise you a little bit. First, I'll start by talking about the B52 storage, which honestly isn't much. The B52 has 4 plate holders on the back and 4 hooks for attachments on the back. And that's really all you get for storage. Hooks are fine. The plate horns on the plate storage are actually pretty nice on the B52. Pretty durable and bend resistant because they're already in an upward arched position. The Megastar Fitness, however, has 4 plate horns. I think they'd last you a little while, and they also have not just plate horns, not just 4 hooks in the back, just like the B52, but they also have barbell storage in the back, which I always talk. All machines need barbell storage, and they have not 1, but 2, and they also have attachment storage in the back because the back also has more of those 1-inch holes that you can rack your attachments on the back when you're not using them, which is just awesome. What a great addition to a rack. So this particular category is going to go to the P107. Great job with storage. Real quick, I'm going to talk about the pricing that I said I was going to address. When I first started filming this series, the Megastar Fitness P107 average long-term price, because like we said, flash sales don't count, the average long-term price that I kept seeing the Megastar Fitness P107 with aluminum pulleys advertised at was about $1,200. Now that we've been filming this series for a little while, pretty much from the minute I started filming till now, the price of the P107 with aluminum pulleys is $1,000. Now the consistent price of the B52, which it has always been on the major fitness website and Amazon, is $1,499.99. $1,500. If you want to compare upgrades to upgrades, you can add aluminum pulleys onto this for $150, which that's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty easy day upgrade. However, when you compare downgrades to downgrades, one thing I did want to mention here is the Megastar Fitness P107 without the aluminum pulleys is like $950. So, I mean, honestly, not much of a difference there, but still, it puts this rack underneath our criteria, and this is like just an absolute workhorse rack. Right now, at the time of this recording, on Amazon, the purple post rack for the P107 without aluminum pulleys is at $869. So if you don't mind having that color, if that's something you'd want, it seems like they're trying to offload that color. Maybe not a lot of people are buying it, but there's some really good deals to be had on a rack that, like I said, just held up to a $1,500 rack that's been around for a lot of years now. So with that being said, I told you at the end of this thing there'd be one winner, and that winner, just for all the reasons we just talked about, unfortunately value does not play a part in this tournament. I made sure of that when I set the price range of this, but I did tell you at the beginning of the series there's going to be one winner, but 2 awards. There's going to be one winner overall, and there's going to be a best value. So because these machines are so close, and because I'm just a huge fan of both companies and both of these machines, I think they're both awesome. I'm going to go ahead and announce the winner for all the reasons we just listed in this video. The Major Fitness B52 for best overall rack in this tournament. But I'm also going to have to give credit where credit is due. Megastar Fitness has also made just a phenomenal rack here as well for a really, really affordable price. So I am going to be presenting them with the Best Value Award. Both of these companies will be receiving their respective trophies. Whether or not either one of these companies are gonna give a darn about this silly award from this silly YouTuber, I have no idea. Another thing that I want to mention here is the M1 Pro was also a pretty close contender for best value against the Megastar Fitness P107, because we talked about both of their pricing being pretty affordable. Very happy to announce those two. Very happy to announce our winner, the B52. I want to once again thank all of our participants in this tournament. It just says so much about all of these companies who participated that they're willing and confident enough in their product to humble themselves and push their machines forward and say, hey, compare this to what's out there in an effort to improve on all of their respective designs. Till our next video, stay active, stay grinding, and don't forget to subscribe.